So I do very much take the learning and the networking and put it into the one call, because we definitely love that. We love networking. I always, your intro, I love that piece about your network is your net worth. That's absolutely the very, very first lesson I learned in real estate. They even say that in single family. And so to hear it carrying on, it's like, this has to be true. And I found it to be true as well. So I love that.
Your network is your net worth. Come listen to some of the most successful people I know share invaluable knowledge, stories, and advice in real estate, business, and beyond. This is Weiss Advice. Whether you want to take your business or personal life to the next level, look no further.
Welcome back to another episode of Weiss Advice. I am your host, as always, Yona Weiss, and I am excited to be here today with Kimberly McCall. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. Great to be on. I've seen your lineup, and I'm just very honored to be here.
The pleasure and honor is mine. Truly love what you do, and I've seen you obviously do a lot over the past several years, and we've had a lot of networking and connections mutual among us. So just grateful to you take the time and jump on the podcast and let us know a little bit about who is Kimberly McCall. I'd love for you to kind of give a couple minutes just to our listeners, a little bit about your backstory and how you got involved in real estate, which is kind of the common denominator of every guest on this show.
Yes, I love that, to be in this industry, in this realm. So I'm a girl from a little Indian reservation in Washington State. There's not much housing there, so it's always been something in the back of my head, like what can we do about this? But I just didn't know. I married a handyman, and so we decided. We read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm sure like a lot of people have, and that's how they're in real estate.
Right.
We read the book and realized like, this is something that, we want to pursue. And my husband was like, I have the skills. So I am a mother of 5. And so the two of us decided, hey, this can inspire our children. We could work together as a family and let them know, like putting in sweat equity and seeing the returns. And so that's how we found ourselves. The initial stages of real estate, we quickly realized flipping wasn't the end all be all. Like, we enjoy it because my husband loves to fix things and work on things, and I like to make things pretty. But it was like taking a toll. He still worked his full-time job in construction, doing the flipping. And when you're first starting out, I don't know everyone's story, but ours was using hard money lending.
Right.
And you're like on a time crunch. You're like, I want to get this off our, out of our hands and sell it. So we're just pushing really hard. And then I just really remembered, like, what's that passive income? What is that thing that Robert Kiyosaki spoke about? And so then I started researching like passive income, not just traditional like stocks and bonds, but like what else? Like still in that real estate realm. And so then I found our way into multifamily. And so we've been doing that for the past several years. I definitely, yes, we run in the same circles. I've seen people that you work with and they always sing your praises. So been a fan for some time, always tuning into your speaking gigs just to learn like, oh, okay, learn new things on cost seg. And so it's been great, but that's how we started. And now we're still in here just pushing away.
Are you still involved with any of the fix and flips? Are you doing that at all still?
Not at the moment, but we talk about it all the time. So we recently, well, I guess it's going to be coming on 2 years. We're in Florida now, and driving around, we're like, oh, so our eyes are always like, right. Oh, that house, I could definitely use a turn, but no, not at this moment. It's been just strictly multifamily. So we have properties that we're currently managing, trying to go full cycle on. So that's been our biggest focus.
Very cool. Awesome. And so has the multifamily thing done through just the two of you, or partnerships or syndications? And how have you found your way in that multifamily space?
So it has been partnerships, syndication route. We've learned, how to navigate this world and how we can benefit other teams and what does that look like. And so partnering up and just learning a lot from syndicators that's been in the game for longer than us, and always trying to piggyback off just their knowledge, right? Like, okay, partner up with us and then we can show you the way. So that's been very beneficial.
Yeah,
learning.
absolutely. I mean, and there's so much, and I totally agree. The best way to learn is to really, do it on the shoulders of others that came before you, and find
Yeah.
mentors, find people
Yeah.
who have done it, and it really gets you much further than you could ever get on your own. So, good for you for finding that route. And, in the multifamily space, I mean, you mentioned kind of you liked to make things look pretty. I mean, it's kind of oversimplifying things, I'm sure. Like, what's kind of your role and your favorite part about the multifamily space personally?
Personally, so when I started, mentorship is great. And we, even with the single family, we definitely believe in education. So in single family, we also signed up for an education program. With multifamily, we signed up for an education program. And so I find I'm the type that has to learn all of it. Even if I'm not the master, I don't want to be the master of all, but I definitely want to understand.
Yeah.
So with that understanding, it's been great. Like, okay, now that I've been through every step from the acquisitions and done some raising and done some asset management, and like, what is my bread and butter? Because all of it is not for me. That's been super eye-opening. So I definitely took part in every part of the process. When you partner with, your KPs, your sponsors, being their grunt worker, like, hey, I need this, I need that, I need this. It's personally like, not like a secretary, but almost, right? Like, you're a partner in it and you're getting the rope. So I love that part, actually. Like, I need different, like when you're going through the lending process and they want this report and that report, and they're like, okay, on it. So just trying to add value and carry my weight. So that part's fun. But so right now on asset management, I'm learning for sure, like, that's tough. It's not a one person show. It's in asset management itself. It's a team. Right. And I feel very passionate about it. Honestly, do I love the investor relationship side? I absolutely do. But I feel like asset management needs to be, what do I call it? I was like, we need a movement, because everyone's always about bring the money, which is absolutely necessary. But to keep that money, you need a really great operational team. And so now that's what I feel strongly about the most. Even though I know for sure I couldn't do it myself, I would need partners. But I love the asset management perspective.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. And that's obviously there are every aspect to the team needs someone that is really kind of passionate about it or good at it, right? You can't necessarily be both. I mean, it'd be great if you are. I personally have gone through the process and a lot of things in that as well. And I definitely know what I don't like to do, right? And I'm not great at underwriting and punching numbers, even though you might think I would, being the cost variation expert, right? But I'm not. Right. And I really am much more of a people person. I'm much more out there networking. So the capital raising and that side of things is easier for me. But you're absolutely right that the asset management is the backbone of the investment, because getting it under contract, getting it closed, that can be done by almost anyone. I mean, it doesn't really take that sophisticated of an investor to be able to get through that process. Managing it right and actually making money, that's the business. That is the business, right? And so you need to do that right.
Absolutely. You want to keep those investors, right? That's one of the things about syndication, is having repeat investors. And if you're not getting them a return, then chances are they're not going to reinvest with you.
Yeah, not going to come back. Well, I mean, and it's, making sure that the properties that you manage are good communities, are safe places for your residents, for your customers, really is what they are.
Absolutely. That's that line of like, we're balancing investors and like, these are a place that people call home. Like, oh, I'm going to go home. I'm on my way home. Like, meet me at my house. Like, this is their home, whether it be, still an apartment. We have to take care of them. We have to take care of our investors. And that's the team that bridges that on both, they're juggling their investor happiness and our tenant, like our residents that live there. So very great point. That's home to someone.
For sure. So you mentioned you're in Washington, now you're in Florida, like the exact, furthest possible, place you can get from.
Corner.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like it's funny because I was born in Boston and then grew up in LA. So it's like also the opposite, cross country, crisscrossing there. But where are the properties, that you do invest in? Is it in Washington, in Florida, neither, both?
Neither. They're in Texas. Most of them are in Texas. We're part of one in Kansas City. So that's a hotel to multifamily, but still down there.
Texas.
The Sun Belt, of course, everyone's favorite, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's about where the investment makes most sense right now. So where you live, obviously, you want to make sure that your investments, and obviously if you're partnering with others, it has a lot to do with, with them as well and where the partners invest.
We have boots on the ground, people super close. Oddly, not oddly, it was very intentional. We went through when we were driving from Washington to Florida, we stopped and stayed at the hotel in Kansas. Well, you know what? Hey, kids. And it was a great, learning, speaking for them even. Hey, do you know that when we worked on this is an investment that we're on? We own a part of this apartment or this hotel. And they were like, no way. So it's been great for this whole journey, bringing the kids along through them being a part of the flips. And we would do demo day and stuff. I watched a little too much. What is that? Chip and JoJo. What is that show? Fixer Upper.
Mm-hmm.
No, they knew, oh, there's mom. And so I want to be talking about decor and stuff. And so they went through that as young, and then they're seeing us on here. And so.
Awesome. What ages are your kids? You said 5 kids, right? Yep.
My oldest is 15. My youngest is 5. So yeah, they're got a good range. I joke about it with everyone that I meet, and I'll be asking them about how's your family? How's your kids? And they're like, oh, one's turning 8 in January. I was like, I just have one's turning 8 tomorrow or not. I have a best friend for everyone. That's what I say. Right. 12. I got a 12-year-old. Yes. I love it.
That's amazing.
We got great days.
That's awesome. And it's amazing that you mentioned at the beginning also that you wanted to get them involved in the process, and they were watching you and seeing you, taking them as part of the journey. That's so powerful for kids. But obviously they're kids, they're busy with school and friends and all that kind of stuff. But what type of involvement can you actually give them? I mean, you're investing in Texas, out of state. How are you able to do that? Is it just education? Is it just talking to them about money and finances and that kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm. The funniest one, the silliest one is, so I definitely let them know, we have our own business. We're buying apartments now. And I remember showing them the OM and different things. And I'd show them after we're doing the raises and the property package we put together, I'd print it out and get into a little binder, and we'd show these, go over that. So with the little girls, they're super cute, especially if they know it's just their dad, right? When you see someone on the phone, they'll be like, Kimberly McCall's phone, or something. And they act like they're my secretary. They're the sweetest things, the girls. So that's always fun. But my son, the oldest, he's 15 now. When we started, he was 13, 12. I don't even remember now, maybe even 12. But you mentioned underwriting. I knew I needed to learn it. In the beginning, I have to at least understand and comprehend. And I definitely, now I have someone that does that for me, and I can be grateful for them. I'm like, oh yes, thank you so much. But I made myself learn. And through that, sometimes it would be late at night. And since there's the age difference, I let my son stay about, an hour later than everyone else. But then I would be like, okay, son, I need your help. And so I'd give him the rent roll, and I'd give him do, what is that called? The lease audits, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, if January, mark it off. If they're all January. So we go down February, how many in January or February? So we do lease audits. We'd go through and so on the underwriting, I teach them how to, and mostly it's because people say when you learn something and then you can teach someone that you really grasp it. So I think a lot it was almost selfishly, let me make sure I can talk to someone else, because my husband was still in construction. He was super busy. So I'd have our rent rolls and our lease, and I'm still, I don't know if it's fair to say old school, but I have it printed. I have a ruler, and I'm going down the expenses, and we would highlight, make notes, and then we'd type it into the underwriting software. But everything, I made him do that a lot in the beginning. Now he's definitely fell off, but so he started high school, and I made him take an Excel course, and I'm like, so how's that going? So always cool. Even if you don't realize, because he's like, Mom, this is kind of boring. I was like, okay, just keep going. So he finished that. I'm like, you're going to take Excel too, right? Because I didn't know. The first time I ever did an Excel spreadsheet was when we started multifamily. I had never used it. So I'm like, it's a tool that you might not think you need now. But so just always trying to incorporate things into their daily that they might not even know. They'll appreciate it later. At least that's what my mom said to me, and she was right. So
yeah, you know what? There's so many skills that you can learn through this process. But the funny thing is that, there's so many things in school that we learn that are completely useless, right? Yeah. And here are things that are practical and actually can help you in the everyday. And I remember like my father telling me like math, oh, you need to learn it. And I hated math in school, but it was more of, this is going to help your brain develop and think and that kind of stuff, as opposed to you're actually going to need this, right? Like I'm never going to need trigonometry like ever, right? I don't think, right? I mean, okay, if you're going to be an engineer, I understand, right? If you're going to do that stuff, totally. But that wasn't for me. So, but things like Excel, no matter what you're doing, it's an incredible skill to have and to understand, even just balancing your own books, doing your own personal bookkeeping or what have you. But yeah, for sure, that aspect of the business, everyone should know. If you haven't, I mean, it's a great.
I'm going to make sure to replay this for him and let him know. I'm not the only one that thinks so.
It's true. And again, I'm not a big math person, right? But I know how important it is to know these type of skills. So I definitely relate to that. Kim, so go ahead.
Oh, just real quick, like even I was working on an underwriting and I was like stuck on a formula thing. I was like, because I still don't know how to, like, that's where I'd mess up the template, the formulas. And so I'm like, son, because I homeschool him as well. So he comes into the office.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, can you help me with this? And so he's like, like presses like maybe 3 buttons and it's fixed. And I'm like, see, dude, that help you? So he's like, rolls his eyes. And
right. Well, he's a teenager, right? So, I mean, that just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But that's awesome that you homeschool. So, I mean, that's even better, right?
You right now. So middle school, high school. I do have the 3 in public school, but that's mostly because my own. So we talk about it too, like, and I don't know about everyone in the multifamily space and what helps them, but for sure us as like a lot of audible learning. So I do like watching videos and I do like seeing things. I do like the education where I can get on Zoom calls and walk me through things because I'm very like the visual and audibly. So just sitting there and reading a text always would hurt because sometimes I don't even know how I register reading. Everyone's like, well, you can read, you're fine. Because our daughter does have dyslexia. Her fault. My husband does have dyslexia. And even with myself, I just struggle with some things. But what I found is I can't help the younger ones learn how to read. So as soon as they get that like fluent, then it's like, all right, time to come home. So I let them go there. Elementary is where they're at. Then once they get a little bit older, I like them to be at home and we could be in charge of what they're learning.
That's awesome. That's great. I mean, it can be very fulfilling. So, and they see much more hands-on what you guys do. So it definitely gives that aspect to it. Yeah,
they definitely know. Oh, mom's on the Zoom call.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, they'll come in and pop in and participate a little bit here and there.
Yeah, they do. They do that naturally. So now I have a sign outside my door. Red is knock and come in. No, red is don't come in a meeting. Green is knock and come in. So I did turn it to red. So I don't know if they'll see, like sometimes, it's summer vacation. So they think that oddly enough, mom doesn't work right now.
Right.
No, summer vacation, not me.
Oh yeah, definitely can relate to that. Kim, you also run a meetup, right? And is this a virtual meetup or it's in-person meetup?
It is virtual. I wanted to make sure anyone can come. And don't get me wrong, I love in person. And we have met in person and so many meetups. There's nothing better than in-person meetups. But yes, this one is virtual, just once a month on a Saturday. I was trying to give people, I was in a community where people would always ask for Saturday calls, and that really wasn't something feasible for that company. So I was like, you know what? Let me take the feedback and I'll put it into action myself. I like to say I was raised with this, but in this industry, like one of the first lessons I learned is to just add value to others. And so that has always been a core value from the beginning, is just add value. So the meetup is all about it's a little bit different and I wanted it different. I have 3 different guests speaking at the very same time. And it's 3 different breakout rooms.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And we'll promote the call, let everyone know what they're talking about. I don't put like all 3 investor relations at the same time or all 3 cost seg at the same time, right? But I do put 3 different speakers with their own expertise. And then this attendee can come and pick what room they like to participate in and listen to. So this will be our 4th call coming in July. But for the first few calls, they're like, where's the recordings? Where's the recording? So I did actually start a YouTube channel, very just raw, not edited video, but I put it into YouTube so they can watch the recordings. And yeah, we're getting a lot of feedback. Like a lot of everyone's like, thank you. Because I made sure to shoot it out to everyone. Like, here's the recordings, go watch them here. So I love that. I'm just trying to get, industry experts and a little bit broader too. Multifamily very much is a business. So I want people to know, like, open their eyes to, like, you are an entrepreneur. This is a business. So we have people speaking on high performance coaching. We have people speaking on business systems. And of course, our multifamily people, but, letting people know, like, these are the kind of people. So we ask for feedback, of course, but us in we have a group. So it's me and 3 other people that facilitate each room.
Okay.
And we're brainstorming all the time. Okay, what would we like to learn and hear when we first start? Right. A lot of our guests are newcomers.
Okay.
As well as we do have people that are seasoned come. So that's great. So always just feedback and learning, just community wanting to grow.
That's awesome. It's a little, a little bit different, because obviously I also ran a Zoom meetup, as you know, for many years. And, we had the breakout rooms for networking, but I never thought to have like different breakout rooms for, sessions of having different speakers in each room and giving the people the option that, they can come, they feel the sense of community, but have options of what they actually are interested in learning, as opposed to just kind of showing up and not really so interested sometimes, which unfortunately can be the case.
Yeah, I definitely took the networking piece as well. So the first 45 minutes is the speaker, and then we'll break out for another 30 minutes because the meeting lasts about an hour and a half. Of course, the first 10, 15 minutes is the intros, things like that. But they'll have the speaking, and then we'll have a couple breakout rooms. So I do very much take the learning and the networking and put it into the one call, because we definitely love that. We love networking. Your intro, I love that piece about your network is your net worth. That's absolutely the very, very first lesson I learned in real estate. They even say that in single family. And so to hear it carrying on, it's like, this has to be true. And I found it to be true as well. So I love that.
That's awesome. Love that. No, it's amazing. And you grow so much by having that community that you're creating, because it's not just about the speakers coming. That's a part of it too, because you're adding value to them by giving them that platform to speak, but you're also adding value to the communities, everyone that shows up, that's learning something and just feeling a part of something. And having that option, I think, is amazing. I know you invited me to come, but I don't do Saturdays. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to join that call.
I know. I keep trying to pressure the team though. This way, I'm like, do you think we should take it into a weekday? Do you think we should take it? And they're like, well, Kim. And so we do. We very much know there's a networking call every day of the week.
I know. There's a lot out there.
And they're like, we don't want to, just be it. Because I believe in learning and just like trying to absorb, but we absolutely have to take action. So I feel like sometimes in this industry, we could be just bombarded with knowledge and all this learning, like, but don't forget to do.
Yeah.
Like that's like, don't forget to go out and take what you learned and put it into action.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these relationship building is it's so powerful. And you see over the years or the months, whatever, I know you're just doing this for a few months, it just impacts everyone so much and it just builds upon itself. So good luck, going forward with that. That's an awesome, and we'll make sure to put a link. You said you have like a group, it's like a Facebook group or something where people can join.
Facebook page. Advertise. Oh, and then the YouTube channel.
And the YouTube channel. So we'll make sure to put that in the show notes. Everyone, highly encourage everyone to check that out. And Kim, I'd love to transition now to what we call the final 4, because surprisingly, the time has flown by. Not surprisingly, right? And these are 4 questions I ask all my guests. And to you, the first one is going to be, what's the worst job that you ever had?
Oh, gosh, the worst job. So when I heard you say that, it's hard. Like my head can't almost grasp that, right? Like we're such we put ourselves in this mindset of like, there's nothing bad. It's just a learning experience. So with that said, what's the job that I learned the most?
Right.
Gosh, I've worked a plethora of jobs. Like there was at one time, I held 5 jobs at one time. I've done a lot of caregiving and then retail. So probably, I don't want to say it again. Okay, I'll get over it. My worst. I remember that. I don't even know if people know this store, but I used to work at Circuit City.
Oh yeah.
And Black Friday was its own thing. Like it was a crazy. I don't want to say it's again my worst, but it was the most intense job I've ever had. Black Friday at a Circuit City. Like there's like everything's on sale, and it was really like out of the movies when there's people lined up, and there's just and there's sometimes people are upset, and yeah, so that was definitely a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. No, that can be challenging.
Like everything turns into comedy after time. Or now I look back and it's funny. Like, oh gosh, people are really upset about that DVD being sold out. Like they wanted a rain check and they're mad at me and yelling. I'm like, I'm sorry.
That's so funny.
Yeah, Circuit City.
What's a book you've read that's giving you a paradigm shift?
I love this question. It's my favorite. And I've said it before on different podcast interviews, and I'm going to say it again because it's my absolute, like it shifted and changed my life. It's Grit. So it's not like, that's right. And because I have it on my shelf, but Grit by Angela Duckworth. That one helped. Wow. If people don't know, she talks about talent and people that are super, super talented and things come easier to them, whether it be sports or academics. And then there's people that it may have come harder and they have to work a little bit harder. And that's what we see very much in our own family home. Again, even with the reading thing, I remember my brother's 6 years younger than me. And I remember being in high school, having to ask him for help with my homework because I'm like, I'm not, and he's just so smart. And so like, I always knew growing up that there's people that are smart, super smart. And they don't even, not that he didn't have to try, like he's good at high school. It just, I feel like came easier, maybe naturally, more natural to him. So I grew up with that, like, okay, it's okay. Like I know how to find resources. And then it dawned on me after reading the book, like, oh, like it's okay. I don't have to be the smartest one, and so even in this industry, so I don't know if it's just that one so that one's about though, like pushing past and the grit that it takes to keep going and to keep going. And I don't have to be the smartest or the fastest or the best. Like I still get my skills and keep going. And it's that long-term, it's like consistency and determination, the discipline to be great. And so I loved that book because it's like, okay, I felt like it was written for me. That's how much it helped change my life. And then just in this industry, we're learning in all of these mindset books about we want to surround ourselves with people better than us. Mm-hmm. So if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. So before that, I was very insecure about how, well, I'm not smart. So you make up for it, with personality or different things. And then I realized, oh, it's okay. Like I actually want to be surrounded by, the mentors that we talk about and people doing the things that we want to do. So I hope like just break that chip off my shoulder per se. Like it definitely shifted. So great question.
Absolutely. No. And it's a great book. Definitely put that in the show notes for anyone. And it's a huge paradigm shift when you can realize that. So thank you for sharing that. The third question we're going to go to is what's a skill or talent that you would like to learn? This could be anything.
Yes, anything. So this one, I think especially living in Florida now and seeing so many diverse, it's very diverse here, which I absolutely love. And I love having my children exposed to so many different cultures. So I think language, and I don't want to just say one, like multiple. I'd love to be multilingual. Mm-hmm. Is that like?
Yeah, that's a word. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Definitely so many different people here. And I hear them speaking and I'm like, I wonder what that is. Or so beautiful. And they'll try to speak to me and I'm like,
no.
No, I have
Do you
nothing.
speak any other languages besides English?
No, not at all. Like in my own native tongue, I can count to 10. Of course, in Spanish, I can count to 10 too. But no, that's about it. But no, I don't know any other language, but I'd love to, for sure.
Okay. It's amazing because that's one of the most common answers that we get. Which is amazing for this question if you want to learn another language. And I think that's awesome. So
you're going to have to start a group that we could all just get together. And
it's not a bad idea. The real estate language exchange. How about that?
Yeah. How many do you speak?
I speak 3 languages fluently, and then a little bit of, I'd say, Spanish. I'm like partially fluent. I took 3 years of it in school, but I can't really speak it anymore. I can understand probably like 80%. So I'm like, okay in Spanish.
So cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So 3.5.
3.5, and German also, because I speak Yiddish, which is like a combination of Hebrew, which I speak, and German. It's an interesting language, Yiddish, but it's very based on the German language. And English is a Germanic language. So if you understand English, it's much easier to understand German, I find, because there's so many words that are related. And so it's just, obviously the accent and different things like that. But yeah, so I mean, I would say like 3 languages and 2 half languages.
So that might be 4.5. Like you add this together. I've been in Germany, but no, I don't speak it. It was a fun time though.
4th and final question, Kim. What does success mean to you?
This is a good question. And I heard one of your speakers talking about, what wakes them up and being able to like light them up every day, which I definitely agree with. And I also heard your snippet too about on the abundant living. And so for me, like I very much take to those, like it lights me up and I do want other people to succeed. So really it's just service. I feel like it is our purpose. And you mentioned like there's enough success out there for everyone.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely boil it down to, it's like a faith piece. So success to me is serving others. Let's help build each other up. And when we're up, extend our hand down and help others, and then same going. And I think that's what success means. If it's beyond myself, if it's, starting this meetup to help other people grow and succeed, I will feel very accomplished. Very accomplished. So.
Awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
I love that definition. For sure. And I totally agree with that. It has a lot to do with what I'm passionate about and what I define as success as well. So I definitely relate to that. Finally, we mentioned your Facebook page. We'll put that in the show notes. But how can our listeners find you or reach out to you if they want?
Oh, gosh. Definitely Facebook. And yes, I'll share. I forgot to put that in the notes. But the meetup, it's the second Saturday of every month. So you'll find us there. And we are booked out until October. So people are excited about this. We're excited about providing value. So that's where we'll be every second Saturday. Facebook, yet to master LinkedIn. Here's the place to be. But yeah, I don't know. I did Facebook from when I was just a stay-at-home mom to now I'm turning that into more business-oriented.
For sure.
So it's been useful for that. So that's what I'm comfortable. So I guess to push outside our comfort zone, I should go to LinkedIn.
Well,
but
every one thing at a time.
You're on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're super on there. So I love that. And doing challenges, and I remember all that. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. This has really been a lot of fun. I appreciate you taking the time out and joining us today. This is, I hope our listeners got a lot of value out of this conversation. I know I certainly did. So just grateful for you to take the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And to our listeners, you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining us once again, all the way to the end. And remember, until next time, the best advice comes only when you ask.
Real quick, I have one question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask you a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message to the whole world is that if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this podcast is out on is that you like my stuff and I'm doing something right. So take a few seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating or review. I would be extremely grateful. Also, I want to hear from you guys. So I want to hear some feedback. If you have any questions for future episodes, please find me on LinkedIn, send me a DM, a connection request, Yona Weiss, and I'd love to hear from you.